Hello and welcome to another episode of Comatose, a weekly series of anecdotes and observations. We have two contributors returning today and a new one, starting with Proantithesis with his own take on our species and our never-ending search for meaning titled The Human Disorder.
Humans have done some weird shit in comparison to other animals. As far as I know, humans are the only species that fucks its own dead. And as far as I know, humans is the only species that fucks its own children. But I mean, we done good weird shit too. We built huge metal objects with other humans and sent it out into space. We've made the internet. We had all kinds of accomplishments as well. And there are many things that separates us from the other animals, but I think the one thing that separates us the most would be our ability to produce and consume on an unbelievable epic level. I remember watching a scene from The Office, and the character Dwight, he was in a huge landfill. And I remember him thinking out loud, it's like, other animals can do this, but not like this. And then the camera pans out and you see this mountains and mountains of trash. Yeah, that's what I believe separates us, our ability to produce and consume like none other. But then while we're busy producing and consuming, we do find time to ask the big questions, which it all can be summed up by, why are we here? Or what are we supposed to do? But what if that question is obvious? What if the answer to that question is real obvious? What if you saw someone asking that question in a restaurant? Yeah, what if someone walks into, say, the Golden Corral, and then he just looks around and say, why am I here? Why are we here? You tell them because to eat, right? But what if we're in the same situation? What if all the animals and ourselves are in the cosmic Golden Corral of Earth? And of course we're eating everything. And then we're just making a complete mess because we're humans and we don't care and we got it like that. And then we take the tables of the other animals, the chairs of the other animals, the food of the other animals. And then we stop and we ask, why are we here? Then maybe some cat look at a side eye because it's a restaurant, motherfucker, and you're eating all the goddamn food. But of course we don't hear the cat, so we just keep on eating. Then, you know, maybe the Industrial Revolution comes along and then the human shits himself, and then the restaurant had a stench ever since. Yeah, maybe. And yeah, that's probably absurd, but not that far off. But back to the question, why are we here? And then I'm looking and I see that, you know, popular answers is to realize your potential, or biological perfection, to seek wisdom and knowledge, to do good, the right thing, meanings, you know, relating to religion, to love, feel, to enjoy, to have power, to be better. Or some people think that life has no meaning, or that you shouldn't try to see the meaning of life, or life is just a bitch. But really, to me, all that can be summed up by just saying, don't get punked.
We all find ourselves repeatedly trying to satisfy any of the many philosophical dilemmas that plague us as human beings. I know I do on an almost weekly basis. On that note, we have the return of John Bauer with his story of coming to grips with the all too common parting of ways in our relationships. This one is called Burning Bridges.
Losing friends is tough. Friendship in general is kind of a hard thing to explain. When I was young, my family moved around a lot, so I had to go through losing friends more often than I think is normal. But more than that, beyond childhood friendships and betrayals, there's an older, more mature version of the same thing that usually comes with its own ethical dilemma. When severing ties or ending relationships, do you keep it peaceful or do you burn the bridge? I think the obvious answer is to try to keep it peaceful because you never know when you'll need the person's help. And the pragmatics of that seem to just trump the satisfaction of petty revenge. But ending a relationship on a bad note also has a kind of finality to it that is just scary. It's essentially admitting that you're okay never having to contact them again. And in a fit of rage, I've probably been fine with that line of thought, but I don't think it carries over very well. It could be just that I'm not used to it. I don't know, I have accepted the fact that some people just won't like you, or me, I guess I should say, and they won't like me no matter what I do. And that's a weird thought on its own, and hard for many people to accept. But really, that's a whole other topic. Related to all that, though, is how I find myself wondering if the person who I've lost contact with ever still thinks about me. And not in a Dorian Gray narcissistic kind of way, but just in a kind of wondering if the person that was a friend, or at least an acquaintance, ever wonders how I'm doing, or even wonders if I still exist. I know I think about it from time to time. I guess I should say them. And more than that, I wonder if my lost friend, or lost colleague, or lost acquaintance would ever be willing to look past what happened. I find myself wondering from time to time what I'd need to do to reconcile what had happened between us, and wondering if they'd accept my olive branch. The reverse is definitely true as well. That is, I sometimes wonder if I'd ever accept a peace offering from someone that I'd been unimaginably angry at. And wondering if I could ever forgive them for the wrong that they'd done. I'd like to think that I could, but to be honest, I wouldn't know until they at least tried. And maybe there's something to that.
Acceptance is a pretty common milestone on life's journey. We climb up through childhood, pushing whatever boulder we've been chosen to bear, seeing that sign over and over. So what happens once we crest that hill and have to start right back down again? Step after step, the rolling sound softly punctuated by the clacking of keyboards and the drone of machinery. And in the back of your mind, the knowledge that this is your lot. Our next contributor, Ryan, is here to speak on the ins and outs of the downhill journey in first world life in monotony.
I wrote some stuff down, and I guess I could read that. I wake up sometimes with my work clothes still on, and you'd think that that would make getting ready a little easier. But you shower, and you shit, and you shave, and you brush your teeth, tuck in that shirt, and look the part, and you sit down in your first seat of the day, and you put it in reverse, and you drive, and stop, go and stop. Then you walk to the second chair, and you begin your observations. And you've gotten into such a rhythm that you've actually ruined life's surprises. A red shirt? Looks new. New earrings? Mention those. You check your notes from the week before. You've been so mentally checked out that the to-do lists seem to write themselves. And you gotta wonder, is this sort of controlled, comfortable rhythm the right thing? You know, you're both efficient, yet you're complacent. And so you tan in the fluorescent light, and then you make your way home. And you stop and you go, and you stop again. And you know, it sounds ridiculous, but you know, a lot of people do this every single day. And you get home, you derobe, and you sit down on the couch, you put on some music or read a book, and you wake up and you do the same thing the next day. And this goes on for a few years. And then eventually one day you get home and the door opens and music's already playing and the light you've left is soft and inviting. And you feel home. You feel home within the rhythm. Monotony. And that's where you stay.
Thank you for listening to Comatose. We'll be back next week with more contributors and more interesting stuff.